Hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. Welcome to Media Queen TV. We have the amazing Nick Cree with us today. He is an absolute legend, well known as the digital transformer and the owner of Business Owners Smashing It Online, a fantastic group where there's weekly meetings sharing lots of wisdom. In fact, I'll be speaking at the Business Owners Smashing It Online event tonight at 6 p.m, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. And today's topic is how to hire VAs for profit and freedom. And Nick is someone who is very well versed in this area. He has had up to 6 VAs and he's outsourced for 11 years. And he's actually developed a program around this now. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, thanks for having me along today.
Fantastic to have you here, Nick. Now, we know that in business, there's always a million things to do, right? In business, there's always this never-ending list of things to do. There we go. There's part of the list there. And so as such, if you want to grow your business, it's really crucial that you build a team. And having VAs or virtual assistants, for those who don't know what we're talking about when we say VA, it's a virtual assistant, so someone who assists in your business virtually, so not actually physically in your business, physically in your same location, or they could be. Generally, virtual assistants are people that work away from your location and that assist in your business. So, Nick, can you just share a little bit of your background and why it was that you started to use VAs?
I'm essentially a lazy person, so I don't want to do everything. but look, I think how I came across VAs was when I moved from New Zealand to Australia. We moved during the GFC, so lots of turmoil and upheaval around the world, but particularly in New Zealand and Australia. I came over. I'd sold a business over there. I had a mortgage finance business. I sold that. And we came across the Tasman and set up here. And so I set up, and my dream here was to set up an affiliate marketing business. I didn't realize it was going to be quite so hard. So, and really just working from a cafe with a laptop. So through all that, I fell into being a web developer and creating a web development business, which is what I've been doing for about 10, 11 years now. And I knew that I didn't know how to write code for a website. I needed to have someone that could do it. To hire someone locally, I got a quote for just one of my websites. It was going to cost me $20,000 for a fairly basic website that I couldn't even edit myself. I still had to go back to the developer to make any changes, to change prices, to get spelling mistakes corrected, all that sort of thing. So that was just for a fairly basic website. So I knew that if I was going to create a business, then I needed to have someone who could code, and I couldn't do it onshore. I needed to do it offshore. So really that was my introduction to it. And back then, they were the old days when it was, Rent-A-Coder and what's the other one? There was a precursor to Freelancer. So, and those two sites there were places where you could go and hire digital experts, and it would just cost way less than what you'd hire locally, primarily because they worked in countries where the pay rates were a lot less, and the cost of living was a lot less than over here. So I was hiring out of India, Pakistan. I think Ukraine was one of the places. And I have to say it didn't actually go that well, but that was really my introduction to the offshore world and having VAs. But I've worked with VAs ever since, and it was a fairly rocky road to start, but I managed to perfect it. And these days I've got a great team, and it's really easy to hire good people if you know what to do and how to do it. And it's often not about them, but it's about yourself. So I've been in it for a wee while now.
Yes, yeah, brilliant. And there was also Odesk was very popular. Now it's Upwork.
Odesk, that was it. Yep.
Odesk, yep, and PhilippineJobs.ph, I believe it is. There's another one.
That's right.
So there's a few of them out there where you can source VAs, and sometimes the experience is when you put a job listing on some of these sites, you will get inundated with people applying for work, and there's a whole process around what to do when you get inundated. So where do people start when they're thinking of getting a VA and they just don't know how to go about it? What do you suggest that they do, Nick?
Well, it's interesting because getting a VA is a really cool thing to do. It sounds like a great idea, and I speak to lots of people who come to pick my brain because I've been working with VAs for so long. But and here's what normally happens. This is what I see all the time. So, and see if you relate to this. People have been told that getting a VA is great because you can pick up someone for between $2 to $5 an hour in comparative rates here in Australia and New Zealand, and you can get some talented people that will be able to run some things in your business. And they'll be able to do things that you can't do yourself. So, they've got good skills and good qualities to do it, to really help you in business. But what happens is that I see people go to a job board like, say, PhilippineJobs.ph, which is a great place to find people. They go and interview someone, they hire someone, and in the first week or couple of weeks, that's the honeymoon phase. So, everyone's, both are excited. It's a new venture, and it feels like the right way to go. But very quickly, it all just starts to fall apart. And two things happen is that often the boss or the person hiring will give a range of tasks to a VA to do, thinking, oh, that'll keep them busy for a couple of days. The VA finishes it in about 4 hours. And so it's like, oh, okay, what else have I got to give over? And so there's this sort of hiatus of I've hired someone, I don't know what to give them. They've done everything I've asked them to do. And so then jobs just start to get thrown at them. And then so what happens with the VA is they're getting all these jobs that maybe they haven't been hired to do, but the person hiring is just giving them stuff to fill in time. And so the VA starts to become overwhelmed because all of a sudden they've got some tasks there they're not familiar with. So, for instance, if they're hired as a social media VA or a general VA, then all of a sudden they're getting jobs to edit videos, and that's just well outside their skill set. And so what happens is that the person that's given all the tasks, they start to wonder, after this initial burst of getting stuff back quickly, why is the VA now taking so long to get back these tasks I've given them? And the VA is now thinking, I'm not quite sure what to do, so I'm going to research how to edit this video. So they spend time researching and working it through, and often don't communicate back to the person that's hired them to say, hey, look, I'm really not sure, what to do. They really want to do a good job. So rather than bothering the boss, they will go and research it. But of course that takes time. And then a day or two goes past, and then the person hiring then gets upset and angry, saying, well, where's all this work? What's happened? What are you doing? And so it's often confrontational. And the poor VA is thinking, well, I'm not quite sure what to do. I've got no real parameters around this. The boss is angry. I'm just going to hide. I'm not going to turn up. And so often they'll just disappear. And so because it's been a bad experience, who wants to work in a place where now you're getting all this sort of anger thrown at you? You're not sure what to do. You don't know how to ask what to do. And then it becomes, just a mess and a disaster. And so often people, those people there, I hear them say, I've tried a VA and it just didn't work out. It was just no good. And in fact, I've heard people say a number of times it's been exactly the same experience. So that's the negative side of things, and that's the worst that can happen. Unfortunately, that's how most people start. That's how I started. So and that's why my experience was not a great experience when I started, and it took a lot of time. So sitting down thinking, okay, what do we need to do to make this a good experience? so that it works for me and it works for your VA. And so there are some steps and procedures that you need to take before hiring, which really are going to help that whole experience. So shall I go through some of that?
Yes, that would be great, Nick. It's interesting as you're sharing this, it's like any relationship. A lot of people have intimate relationships and, they try it out once or twice and go, no, that didn't work. So I'm not going to go there again. Right. And so people go through life with a whole lot of fear around relationships in general, and I guess having a VA is like a relationship, right? Whether it's it's an intimate or a friendship or whatever, you've got to work on your relationship, right? It needs to be two-way street. So communication is key, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I often think that the difference between having a VA and a local staff member that's in your office that you can have a chat to is distance. And, and I still think, if anyone treated someone in their office, in their location, the way they treat some of their virtual staff, man, they would be sued. They'd walk out. They'd have the employment tribunal onto them, and very quickly they'd learn that their behaviour is just not really acceptable in a workplace. But of course, there's no employment tribunal or workplace relations or anything like that there when working with remote staff. So I don't know, anything goes. Well, it seems like people think anything goes, and so it can bring out the worst in people. It can also bring out the best in people. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is for anyone hiring to look at themselves, first of all, and think, how could I have made this a better experience? Or how am I communicating? What am I saying that's getting the result that I'm getting back? Because that's generally what's happening. I'm not saying all VAs are good. I mean, there are some out there that, genuinely are no good. And, just like any, in any employment situation. But as a general rule, it's they want to do the best they can, and if you're not getting the result you want to get, then it's often a question of asking yourself, what could I do better? How could we do this, in a different way?
Yeah, great. Well, I'd love to hear your tips. Thanks, Nick.
So, I think the very first thing is if you've got this idea seizure where you think, if I get a VA, life is going to be good. I'll be able to go to the beach, sip my pina colada, take my computer down there, going to have this sort of laptop sort of lifestyle dream. As soon as you start thinking that, give yourself a couple of slaps and a quick uppercut and settle down, have a cup of coffee, and then think about, okay, what are we actually going to get a VA to do? And so the very first part of the process is, if you're overwhelmed with too much to do, that's the wrong time to hire a VA. Because you're never going to do it right, because you're in a state of panic, you're in a state of overwhelm, you're not feeling great about yourself, and what happens is people just pick up the task, dump it on a VA and say, handle that. VA gets overwhelmed, thinks, I can't do all that, so that's not good. So the first thing to do is to step back, take stock, and I think write a list of all of the things that you do that you would like to remove from your plate and hand over to someone else. And that might take a couple of weeks. So I would say, have something like a notepad down beside you, and on that notepad, just write down every single thing that you do in the day for 2 weeks. And that'll give you a really good idea as to, the scope of what you're doing, and then what are those things that you can start to hand over to someone else. So that's the very first thing. The next thing to do is to then look at, those tasks you've written down. I would also put a dollar value beside them to say, if I was to hire someone else to do it, how much would I be paying them? So, and some of those jobs will be $10 an hour jobs. So, just fairly basic stuff, not a high level of skill. Anyone can do it, and can pick it up. And then you've got your $500 an hour jobs. So those are the ones that probably fit in your area of expertise, knowledge, some skills, and some experience, which is why people would pay you $500, to do that task. So that's probably not something that you're going to outsource, or certainly not in the immediate future. So then what you do is you group those $10 jobs, make a list of those ones there, categorize loose categories. So you might have, four or five different categories. So some might be social media, some might be website, some might be just general admin. So just group them together, and now you've got the basis of a job description, which you can now advertise out for a VA. But before you do that, the next step is to take some of those $10 jobs and write out a set of systems for it, like a step-by-step procedure for it. So, step one, do this. It doesn't have to be so detailed that you say step one, turn on your computer. There is a level of competence that we would expect, but it really is just, this is what we do. Step one, go to Facebook. Step two, create a new post. Step three, go and find an image from unsplash.com that's suitable. Step four, check the spelling in my in post. Step five, add it in as a draft post. Step six, send an email to review the draft. Step seven, publish it. So steps. So just do that for a number of tasks, and now you've got a set of procedures that you can start getting a VA to work with, and that's going to make their job a whole lot easier. They're going to feel a lot more, what would you say, a lot more focused, and they're not lost having to work things out themselves. So give direction, having good direction to start with, and more direction's better than less. You'll find that, as you start to develop your relationships, you're going to need less direction because, they know what your culture is. They know what your business is. They've got a better understanding of it. But if you think about, if you walked into a job for day one of employment, and the boss said, okay, well, here's what I expect you to do, and just gave you some broad brushstrokes. Go and get us $10 million worth of business this year. Go. So, well, how do we do that? What do you sell? How do we do it? How does it all work? So, you need to give some sort of level of detail and context. So first thing is to write down everything that you're doing. Second thing is to group it into categories. Third thing is to create a step-by-step guide. So once you've done that, the fourth thing is to think about, well, what are the tools, apps and things that we currently use in our business to help us to do these things or to manage these things? And there'll be some tools there. So it might be, let's say, G Suite for email. So that might be a tool that you use for emailing. Let's say we're doing video conferences. It might be StreamYard that we're using, like we're using right here and now. So you need to make a list of the tools that you're going to be using. And then once you've got all that together, now's the time when you're ready to start hiring. So it's not when you get that seizure and think, well, I need someone to help me now. It's actually taking stock, stepping back, and then, preparing. And then once you're prepared, then you can start going to hire. And then you're hiring from a place of clarity and power, as opposed to hiring from a place of overwhelm and wanting someone to throw your life to save you from this overwhelm in business. So that's really the first. So look, it can take a couple of weeks. It could take a month to get to that sort of stage there, but it's well worth doing that. And then when you're interviewing people, like you can put an ad out there on, say, Philippines Job PH or Upwork or any number of places, and then the interview process is no different than interviewing someone that is here local. So you want to make sure they're a good fit. You want to make sure that they do have some of the basic skills, but the most important thing is attitude. What sort of attitude have they got? Are they someone that one you can work with? Are they someone that has got a go getter attitude, things out for themselves? Are they someone to be micromanaged, about that sort of thing? And where do they want to go? So a virtual assistant isn't someone that's just going to come here and just do jobs for you and tasks for you. For many VAs, it's a career path. So they're looking for a long-term career that they can grow and advance. And they've got some prospects into the future. My longest-serving VA has been with me for 8 years. So that's an 8-year career. There's been a lot of development, over that time, both me and with her. I think I was terrible when she first started working with me, but for some reason she stuck it out, and we work really well together now. So it has been a sort of a progression along the way.
Amazing. So you've lasted longer than a lot of marriages there, Nick, with that
Yes.
8 years. You passed the 7-year itch, so that's great.
On for another 7.
Yeah, I love those tips. They're excellent. And the thing is, too, with communication, often people are communicating with VAs via written word, right? And English is their second language, and sometimes things can be misconstrued when you're writing things down. So what are some ways to keep the communication really simple and make it easy to understand for the VAs, and to make sure that, because often they'll say they understand and sometimes they don't, because they're very much into pleasing their boss, right? And pleasing the people they work for. So, how can you communicate with them in such a way that they have the confidence to speak up when they don't know something, or how to communicate effectively with the VAs?
So you can't communicate too much. So over communicate is the thing. So and check for understanding. A lot of it's text. I would say avoid email. So email is not a great tool for conversation. So you send off an email. You might wait for half an hour to get a response, or you might be onto something else. And so that's a very long, laborious way, and stuff gets lost there. So the first thing I think is invest in some form of chat app. So at its basic form, Skype is okay. I wouldn't stick with Skype for a long time, because you lose a lot of stuff in the threads as it just goes up the feed there. But Skype's a good place to have live conversations on chat, where you may say, hey, look, this is something I want to have done, and you can have a back and forth conversation. Now, in that, you would, generally I write, here's the outcome that I want. Here are the tools that I want to be used for it. Here are the points that I want you to check in with me. So like, what's an example? So at the moment, we're putting together a podcast, and there's a lot of stuff to get ready for a podcast. I didn't realize how much there was. But, just the simple thing of putting together for each podcast episode, then, that there for us has, I've created a task, and so my graphic design VA has gone away and created something which came back pretty good. Wasn't 100%, but it was pretty good. So then we have a conversation. Hey, look, these are some of the changes that I like to make. So be very specific about the changes. And in order to be specific too, having some form of screenshot or screen cap, because then you can annotate it to show exactly what it is that you mean. And then you can send them an screenshot to give them an idea, what it is that. And so, it might take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times to go back and forth, getting some more and more clarity. But one of the key things is to check the other person's understanding of what you said. What did you mean? And this just isn't with VAs. This is like life. So, I do it with my kids, This is what I want you to do. Now, what did I just say? Just repeat it back to me. Give me your understanding of what it is. And you would be amazed how much is not only about sort of coming language and cultural barriers, and different ways of doing things, and words mean different things in different countries as well too. So checking for that understanding back and forth is really important. But the other thing that I think I've found has been critical too is to have a conversation, a physical conversation beats that. Every Monday at 2:00 in the afternoon, we have a team meeting on Zoom, and that's where we discuss what's happening this week, what happened last, any problems, any questions, set the tasks and the outline for the week, and then what we do at the end of it is say, the question is, okay, what's your priority for this week? And so I will go through and talk about my 3 priorities, and then each of the team will go through and say, these are my priorities, these are my. So then we just, now it seems like fairly basic stuff, or it feels like too much communication, but I can tell you that too much communication is better than not enough communication, because this is how you guarantee to get your results and the outcomes that you want at the end of the day. And it takes a lot less time than people often imagine, thinking, well, if you're communicating so much, it's just going to take up so much time in your day. But it really doesn't. It saves a lot of time. Like a half-hour meeting on Zoom will save, 2 or 3 hours going back and forth and trying to, get some clarity about things. So use the tools and lots of communication.
Yeah, I love that. And taking the time to plan is actually really crucial, and staying focused. That's a big issue for a lot of entrepreneurs, is so many different projects on the go that they can get really distracted easily. And, I think VAs also, a lot of VAs are doing a lot of work on social media, and we know social media can be very distracting as well. So having people stay focused on the task and having those big rocks, those big goals for the week, I think that's excellent to have that accountability with your team. And thank you to everyone who's joining us. Hello, Malak there. I can see we've had quite a few people join us here and a few people watching now. Where are you joining us from? And do you have any questions for Nick on the topic of VAs, virtual assistants, how to hire them, how to fire them if you need to? Well, there's a question. So if you're not happy with your VA, Nick, and what's the best way to sort of resolve issues?
Jump on them quickly. So don't do what some marriages do and just let things fester and bring it up 15 years later. But deal with issues where, as there's always issues that come up in any sort of relationship. Here am I giving relationship advice. I'm probably the worst person to give it. But
well, you've been in a long-term marriage, so you're doing something right there, Nick.
Well, we're still here.
Yeah.
But I think, resolving things early is a lot better than leaving things for a long time. So, just deal with small issues. And then if you deal with this, this is the thing. It was a school principal that my kids go to. And it's a really good analogy. And she's an ex-prison warden, so she runs a school a bit like that. And they've got some rules at school which are pretty extreme. And some of the rules are things like black shoes. You've got to have black shoes at school. So it means no logos, no colour, black. And so you try finding just black shoes, because everyone wears sneakers today. No one wears those leather shoes that I used to wear when I went to school. So, you've got Nike and Adidas and all these cool shoes and whatever. So they've all got these logos. And so the kids have either got to go and buy these shoes, or parents have got to buy these shoes and then pick the logos off, or get a black felt tip and colour the logos in so they're all black. That's acceptable. But the shoes have to be black. And then when she was questioned about this, while later, why does it matter that they've got a logo or whatever on? And her response was, if we deal with the small things and get the kids there complying with the small things, the big issues never arise. And so they really don't have an issue with drugs and so bullying and some of those issues that a lot of schools deal with, because she gets people used to. So complying with the small rules, so the big rules just it's just an automatic thing to do. So big issues never arise. So I think, bring that back into context with your business and your VA. If you deal with the things at the time that are small issues, so if things are going wrong or you're not getting stuff back that's the way you want it, and it's a small thing, deal with it. At that point there, and then over the long term, you'll have a good working relationship because you've established some good ground rules, and not only ground rules, but you've established your, what would you call it, style guide for your business. Like if it's a colours sort of thing, this colour's slightly off. This is the colour to use. It might be a small thing, but, you start to work together and start to understand. You get a common set of values and a common set of rules to work with. And if you do that, at the beginning it feels nitpicky and maybe you don't feel great about it, but in the long term, that's how you get to work with someone for 8 years, by, sort of having some of those basic ground rules that everyone sort of understands. So So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is that if you are finding that your staff or your team or someone on the team there just is not complying, 2 warnings and they're out. Simple as that. So, and what I mean by warnings is that if you find that they're consistently, let's use that example of colours, for instance, for brand colours, they're consistently not using the colours that you've agreed to and specified to, then you would give them a warning. Hey, say this is really important for the business. I understand that it may be time consuming to do this, but it's really important that we do it. The reason for that is that these brand colours matter. People become familiar with it, and we need to keep that consistency of brand. Can you do that? And so you get a buy-in, yes or no. If it's no, well, look, if it's no, then we need to part company because this is a non-negotiable. If it's yes, and the quality of work that comes back really hasn't changed much, or you get for a week it's good and then it falls back, then you would go back and give the second warning. And the second warning is, hey, look, we spoke about this. Maybe I wasn't clear about it. What was it that I wasn't clear about? So that you get, and there may be something you weren't clear about, maybe something I didn't understand. So let's just clear that up. And then the third time it's like, hey, this is obviously not working out. Let's free your career up to go and find something that would be more suitable for you, and then you can go and find someone else as well too. So I mean, that's your firing. And I would say spend more time hiring than you would firing. So that process of firing, it might be a week, 2 weeks, but you would spend more time hiring to make sure that problem didn't occur down the track, or you minimised it occurring down the track. But I can tell you that one of my someone that I know, their VA was on drugs, and she could tell by just looking at his eyes in their conversation. So that's why it's important to have the face-to-face meetings on video conference. You can pick up a whole lot of stuff. And he didn't have his computer, so he was not able to complete any work for over a course of a week. The reason for that was his computer had been repossessed because he had some gambling debts. So,
wow.
But again, she wasn't able to find it out until they had a face-to-face meeting on Zoom, and it's like, well, where's your computer? And because the computer wasn't there, it couldn't have a Zoom meeting. The Zoom was on the phone. It's like, well, get on your computer. I don't have my computer. So some of those basic communication things help you sort of uncover whether there's some problems or underlying sort of issues there as well too. So obviously that VA is no longer working with her, got some issues and problems that he needs to resolve himself elsewhere, not in the business.
Wow. And that's the thing. It can be just a downward spiral when people have drug problems or gambling problems, and then they lose their job, and one thing leads to another. And, so when you're on the up, you tend to go up and up. And when you're on the down, things can go down and down, right? And it's taking responsibility. It's being open and honest about it. Like if that VA had said, look, I'm having a few issues at the moment, haven't got my computer. If he was actually honest about it and said, I don't have it initially before her having to ask him, maybe they could have resolved things. And that honesty is really important, particularly when you're working with people that you might see online or you've never met in person. There's a lot of trust that goes on here, and that trust can take time to build up. And so honesty is always the best policy, I say, and particularly when it comes to VAs. So Nick, what are some of the tasks that people are giving to VAs nowadays?
Well, I can give you a rundown of some of the things that my team work on. In fact, I've got a pretty awesome team, I have to say.
Yeah, great.
I run an event every Tuesday, which is a webinar, which happens without fail every week. We've got guest speakers on that event. Oh, in fact, you're speaking tonight on it. So, but the organisational process of that is that there's quite a lot that goes into it. So I'm fortunate in that we've got our system down pat now, that I just need to turn up on the night and host the show and run the show. I do a Facebook Live. I prepare the slides and whatever for the evening, and I talk to the speakers. But a lot of the time, the team there are tasked to coordinate with the speakers, so they get all of the photos, the bios, the information about what the guest speaker is speaking about. They will write the emails that go out and the social media posts. Now, I wouldn't advise doing that from the beginning, but my team are at that point where they do that, and they have a book. They have this book of nickisms. So these are things that I say.
Nickisms.
So sometimes when I speak, they think, what does that word mean? And so they'll ask me. Well, first of all, they'll Google and say, what was an example? Oh, Arvo. So like I'll do that in the Arvo. AVO.
All right.
So, what does this word Arvo mean? And so they're Googling it, and I'm thinking, Arvo. The only thing that came up for that search was a green fruit, avocado. See you in the avocado, or I'll do this in the avocado. That doesn't really make sense. So in the end, they sort of asked me, what does this Avo mean? And I had to think, Avo. I didn't say anything about Avo, and then it just dawned on me. Oh, Arvo. Afternoon. That means afternoon. That's an Australianism, which is short for afternoon. So, a bit of laughing and whatever, but that goes into the dictionary of Nick. And so there's lots of these sort of words and phrases that go in there, which really help them to understand the quirks in our language, but also helps them to understand how to write, the way that we would write over here. There are words and things that are used differently there and over here. What's another one? Already. So already is one of those words. And so, often I'll give a task across, and a couple of hours later, I come back and say, I've done it already. Now over here, that means, well, I've already done it. I did it in the past. But over in the Philippines, it means that I have just completed it, and here it is. So it's same word, but slightly different meanings. So that goes into that dictionary as well as to what it means over here. So because we've got that dictionary of nickisms and Australianisms, then they're able to write the posts, a lot of the content for the posts, and push it out. So these days, it's really rare that I get to see the content before it gets published. Now, only a few times I'll get to see it. Often I'll get to see the emails that go out for the event on the Tuesday. I'll see those ones and maybe make some tweaks. But most of the time, they're really good, and they do it. And the graphics, again, I don't have much input into the graphics. The graphic design is really good, and they just work together as a team to get all of that promotion out. So they're working on social media. They're doing graphic design. They're doing what else? Video editing. So and audio editing. So for the podcast and the videos that we've got up, they get cut and edited and spliced and used on social media, in YouTube, and soon to be on our podcast. They will go and do some research as well. So like the intro music for the podcast, that was really the work of one of the team members. And so he came through with a number of possibilities. So rather than me going to sit in, looking for music and spending 2, 3, 4 hours doing that, we're able to just discuss what sort of style are we looking for, and then he will go and research it and come back with 3 or 4 selections, and then I just only have to listen to 3 or 4, and so able to say, well, I don't like that one. That one's good, but probably it could be a bit more. What did I say? A bit more sort of heavy rock. And so, we're able to do that. And so for me, it's just such a time saver having someone do that and then get a great result out of the end of it as well. But again, it just comes down to communication. What else do they do? They're often on my webinar. So when we run the Business Owners Smashing It Online webinar, they'll be there posting up links into chat for things that I talk about. So they're proactively there. They'll gather people's names and for putting into our lucky prize draw. So I just need to copy and paste and put it in there. What else do we do? There's probably heaps more than that. They work on the website as well. So, if we've got website tasks, they'll be in there, doing that. They work with other people's VAs. So because I've got clients with, they've got VAs as well, then they'll often communicate with, their team as well to get stuff done. So there's some of the things they do. There's probably a lot more. They'll probably tell me after this interview all the other stuff I missed out.
That's great. And I've heard too, it's good to have VAs working full-time as opposed to part-time. They're more invested in your business rather than, one foot in, 1 foot out and looking for other opportunities to fill the other part-time that they have through the day. So how important has that been for you?
Absolutely crucial. And the reason for that is that, I understand you may want to just dip your toes in and just have a part-time VA. But the problem with that is the VA, they've got a family to support, they need an income. And so in order to top up the income, they need to go and get another job. So if you happen to be a terrible boss and the other one is a good boss, and that good boss there offers them, hey, I really enjoy working with you. I'm happy to give you a full-time role. Boom, you've just lost your half-time employee. And so you've got to go and find someone else again now, train them up, and and just go through the whole process and procedure again. And while that's happening, you get back into overwhelm because you've got to do all of this work yourself again, and you're back to square one. The other side of it too is you may be a great boss, and you may have a great relationship with your VA, and you're only employing them half time, but the other person may be a terrible boss and may yell and shout and be one of those ones there that is highly demanding. Now, it's the old squeaky wheel syndrome. The wheel that squeaks the loudest gets the most, gets the oil. So if you've got someone that is hollering at the VA to get stuff done and really riding them and giving them a tough time, they may sort of say, well, I'm just going to get their work done just to get them out of the way, and then I'll come back to your work. And so you may wonder why, well, how come my work's just not getting done? They're sometimes good, they're sometimes not. It's because they're dealing with someone else that's not great. So the solution to that is just hire full-time. And when you think about it in terms of a cost, if you're paying a couple of $100 a week, that's better than paying $800 a week for someone that would be full-time over here. So still in the scheme of things, cost-wise, it's a lot better. And you may think, well, what do I get them to do for the time that they've got? Well, I haven't got enough work for them. That's the time they can be learning and doing some research. So think about some of those projects there that you could be doing that you're not doing because you're too busy to. So what's a good one? Well, let's say you don't have much of a social media presence and you'd like to get yourself out there on social media a lot more. So you can get them to do some research about what are some of the best social media strategies that would be good to implement that will enable you to get good traffic to your website or get you sort of lift your credibility, get your presence out there. So get them researching that sort of stuff, come back to you with some, the top 3 best ideas, then you get them to implement them. So that way there, you're able to get stuff in the business that you don't have to learn about, but you're developing the VA is developing into being an expert in that sort of area there. I haven't done this, or have I? No, I have actually. I give my team access to all of the online courses that I do. So, if I'm in a coaching program or an online program, they're going to be implementing some of the stuff. So I give them access to all of those resources, and so they go through them as well. And that means that they're able to implement. Now, I do know some people who've had their VAs go through these programs and implement them. so that the person running the business doesn't have to do the implementation. There's another great thing that you can do. I think you need to have good communication channels with that sort of thing, but those are the processes that you can run through. Like if you had to read it all and implement it, why couldn't someone else? And so you can hire them to do that. So there's ideas at least anyway.
And how important is it to do a personality test on your VA? Like before they work with you, maybe do a DISC profile, or, just find out that, make sure their strengths are opposite to your strengths, so that you have a great team. Like for me, for example, I'm a great front person for the business. I'm a great connector, networker, not so good with systems and automation, right? Or not naturally good at that. That's a challenge for me. So, my VA just happens to be good with that. And I did have her do certain tests. Do you put your VAs or new VAs through personality profiling?
I do. And I don't hire on the profiles, but it helps me to understand their strengths and where they can mitigate my weaknesses. So right. I'm much the same as you, I think, Aldwyn, that, I'm an extrovert. I'm out there, I'm the networker. I've got a million ideas there that never get implemented, too many things on the go. And it was funny doing a, what was it? The Roger Hamilton one. What was that called?
Yeah, Wealth Timers.
Yeah. I've actually here.
I bet you're a creator, Nick. Are you a creator?
I am.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. So this is one that we did with our team, and and all the roles. So I'm right up the top there, and yes. As the creator, and one of my team members, he's the graphic designer. He's also up there, no surprise. Uh-huh. And then down on this which corner? This corner over here. This is the accumulator. So that's down opposite to me. So this has got more attention to detail, and this here just happens to be one of my team members. He's the one that's been with me for 8 years. So so she was. When we did a debrief with the person that ran the personality test, and I remember one of the questions, and I know Lorena's going to be embarrassed when I say it, but I think it's funny. And I think it talks to the strengths that we have as well. And she said, "Now, tell me, what's it like working with Nick?" And there was a silence. And so Julie, who was running it, she said, "Is he disorganized, and does he not finish things, and they've got lots of ideas and never really follows up?" And she said, "Yes." And Julie's able to say, "Well, that's all right. That's what he's supposed to do. That's his personality, because that's what a star at the top. That's the sort of personality they are. Your personality down here is the person that has got attention to detail, that remembers things when he forgets them, and is able to follow them up so that the important things actually get done and finished and completed. So your job is to make sure he keeps on track, does what he says, and gets things finished, so that those clients and people that are disappointed because he's on to the next thing, they actually get a bit of love and attention too, so you can create and develop a good business." And so, so what you're saying is all of these roles in here are all essential for business. And, you need to have your star and, sort of creator people there too, because they're the ones that are front of the business. But you also need some people that make sure everything happens in the business as well too. So so I think for them it was it became a funny thing, but also a realization that, hey, we're not just working for Nick or for the business, we're actually part of it. And so what we're doing here is creating this thing in the business and creating the experience for our clients and customers. And so it's really important that when things need to get followed up, and when he forgets things, that we make sure that things get done. And so that was really important. And these days, I get reminders coming through on Slack. We use Slack as a communication channel instead of Skype. And I get reminders that are saying, remember, you got your live video to do today at 10 o'clock. And if I miss it, it's like, hey, did you forget your live video? So there's this accountability back and forward. So these days, I'm answering more to my team than they are answering to me because they've got their roles to fulfill, and they can't do what they need to do unless I'm doing what I need to do. So it is a more of a collaborative and a team relationship.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I say definitely do those personality profiles for that reason, not to hire, but so that everyone sort of understands, what their role is in the team. And I would also say, run it when you do your recruiting, so you get some idea that what their strengths and weaknesses are. But when you're working together, get an outside facilitator in to come and run it, so that they're facilitating it, and that's where you really start to develop those bonds and get a real team environment happening, which can be really quite challenging. When you're remote in two different countries and your only points of communication are on video and on chat. But we did all this on a Zoom call, and it was almost like we were in the room together. There was a lot of joking. There was lots of realizations and ahas, and that's really sort of team building and culture building in your organization.
And in the middle of that chart too, it said V times L, which is value times leverage, which that's the thing, is they're looking at where you can bring value, who brings what value into the team, and together it becomes a whole, right? When you're working together with your strengths. And there is a basic version of that, which is the Genius test. I believe it's geniusu.com, something like that. Very basic version of that, which is free. The Wealth Dynamics is $97 US, I believe, to do. And then there's things like disc profiling and other types of profiling out there. There's Gallup strengths tests. There's all sorts of different things. So, but you will naturally know what you're good at, and it's generally things that are not hard for you to do. You don't need much motivation. You're naturally great at it, and the areas where you struggle, they're areas really which are better to outsource, and you stick with those higher value, the $500 an hour or whatever your hourly rate is. Stick with those tasks and outsource the rest. And that takes trust, and it takes letting go, right? And not being this lone wolf and control freak, as a lot of people who start out in business are. And I know for myself, I've had several VAs over the years too, and I've become very frustrated over the years too when things aren't done to a certain standard, or when details get missed out. And particularly as a journalist, if I have VAs, doing any copy or social media images and something is spelt wrong, I will get quite angry about that, because, that we can't have that kind of image out there with the wrong spelling. And so I'll get them to retract it and, redo it. And as much as I say sometimes, make sure you check and double check and triple check things. Sometimes errors do happen, and, we need to still be able to let go. And I am still very grateful for my VA. I've had a VA now full time, which is Kat. I've had her for at least 3 years now, and she's awesome. And yeah, I'm sure there's times, I frustrate her too when I say, right, we've got half an hour for this, just get this done quickly. So I throw things in sometimes that she doesn't expect through the day, as much as she has her daily tasks to do. So she's learnt to kind of, go with the flow of, how the day can go sometimes. And having that open communication, I think, is really crucial. Really, really crucial with the team, and saying good morning, having set times. We had more flexible times with Kat there that she was working, and now we've got her on set times through the day. So we've got more structure around the day as well. So I think that is really important as well. Nick, what would you say about that, having set times to start work?
Yeah, look, I think one of the challenges being an entrepreneur is that things just happen, it's like in your own time, and so I don't know, for me, I'm not someone that likes to follow a timetable, I like to be spontaneous and do things as they arise. But, it's interesting how, once you've got a structure, you can be more spontaneous because you've got a container to bounce around in. But I think having some common, having a common structure means that people are accountable. So I'm accountable to turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is 8 o'clock their time in the Philippines. That's our start of day officially as the business, and they'll go through till 5 o'clock their time, which is 7 o'clock my time. So always there saying, good morning, how's things, what's up, so they send a GIF. And then at the end of the day, hey, look, I'm done for today. The short ones are calling out for food, so I better go and feed them. So just those sort of conversations. But having a start and a finish is really important, and that becomes the container within which you work. They're your office hours in a sense, and I think also having some ways of checking in. So I'm not really good at this, but I use it. Having some form of project management software. We've used Asana. We're now using ClickUp. I have to say I probably like Asana a lot better, but probably because I'm just a lot more familiar with it. But having something where you can store projects that you're working on and projects in progress, so that you've got some accountability and you can make comments in those, and they'll come back and forth through email, but you've got a way of tracking what gets done and throwing ideas in. So when you have this entrepreneurial seizure of ideas that come through, we've got this thing called issues list. Throw it on the issues list, and when we get to our Monday meeting, if it's important, then we can move it into a project or do something with it. If it's just an idea, it'll just sit there, or we might just move it onto a can do one day board. So so those tools help to provide the structure. There's one other thing I think is important too, and that's leadership. So you're the leader of your organization, and you need to lead. You might be a great detail person, as I'm not, but that doesn't mean you can't be a great leader. And so being a great leader means that you're able to delegate tasks and responsibilities, but it doesn't mean that you should abdicate. So abdicate's when you just pick up a whole lot of stuff. I'm overwhelmed. Here, you do it. That's called abdication, with no parameters and whatever around it. Delegation is hey, here's something we need to achieve. We've got an event coming up. We want to make sure that we get 60 people in the room. And so the way we're going to do it is that we've got some social media. We'll do some Facebook Lives. But that's our overall objective. Let's sit down now and think about what are the things that we need to do in order to get 60 people in the room. So have a meeting about it. And so you're guiding and facilitating the meeting. Out of all that, there will be a range of activities and tasks broken down, goes into your project management board like ClickUp or Asana or Trello. And then setting deadlines and timeframes against it, and responsibilities. So that one there is where that's what delegation is, rather than abdication, was saying we just need to get 60 people in the room, go. So leadership is important. Having parameters is important, and at the end of the day, that makes for a good working relationship, a great environment. When it's even more challenging when you're not in the same room. And you're not having those water cooler conversations or ducking out to the cafe to go and have a coffee. These are some of the ways that you create your culture and your communication a bit differently.
Yeah, I love that. Leadership is so crucial, and staying on top of your game. Like, all coaches need coaches too, right? And you and I, Nick, we've met so many times over the years at different programs, different business courses, different, mainly business courses, networking events, etc. And staying on top of your game and learning from others in the field as well, because none of us are born great at business, right? These are skills that we learn. How to grow and scale a business. And VAs are just so crucial nowadays to help in that process, to save with cash flow, and obviously getting good VAs, not just any VAs, and, knowing how to delegate effectively and working together as a team, building that team. 1 + 1 is 3, they say, right? When you leverage the power of having a great team. So it is really, really crucial to stay on top of your game and to invest in yourself, and also to invest in people who have the knowledge that you may not have to save yourself time, because time is also a massive commodity now, right? And it's our most valuable asset. And so you're either paying with dollars or you're paying with time to learn anything, right? And that comes to something you've put together, Nick, which is brilliant. You have a VA Success Blueprint program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And I'll stick the link in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So this program really came together. I didn't mean to do it, but it was one of those things that came together because I've been through the bad and the ugly working with VAs, and I've been through the fantastic times and having a great team of people that are working collectively and collaboratively together. But I do know that when you think about hiring a VA, there's actually a whole lot more in behind. A bit like the iceberg, all you see is the tip of the iceberg, but underneath is really where everything happens. That's the bit that sinks the ship, and it's the same with VAs. That's the bit that sinks your ship in your business. Hiring a VA is all the stuff that you don't know. So just as I said at the very beginning that the most important things you do before you even hire the VA is what you do in your business to get yourself ready. That's what we cover in the VA Success Blueprint program. What is it you do? How do you do it? And how do you sort of map it through, right through to thinking about where do you go to hire? What are the best countries to go and hire a VA? How much should you pay them? We've got a rate sheet, like in terms of what you would be expecting to pay a virtual assistant. Simple systems and procedures guide. So putting together systems. I know that I'm the sort of person that thinks systems and procedures. What? But there's some easy ways to do it. That if you're a extroverted person, don't have a lot of attention to detail, we've got a great way to put together a system when you can do it in less than 10 minutes for anything, and without having to write anything down as well too. So great process around all that. We look at interviewing, how you go through the interview procedure. I've seen so many people do interviewing so wrong, and what I mean by that is that the person doing the hiring does all the talking, which is the worst thing you can do. They talk about their business, what they want the person to do. They put words into the VA's, or the interviewee's mouth, when they should be asking questions, and the right questions to elicit, what sort of person are you? What's your level of English like? What are the things that you enjoy? What are the things that might take you off course that we need to be aware of? What are you passionate about that we can really support you in, and which would be great for the business, help you grow? So we talk about how to run that interview process. Reference checking. Where do you go and how do you do your reference checks when your referees may be in a different country or may speak a different language? And then once you hire a VA, what's the process of hiring? So, just like any job over here, generally there's a trial period. So how do you run a trial period so that, you work out whether you can work well together? And that trial period is a trial for you as much as it is a trial for them. So how do you run that there? Career development, being a virtual assistant is a career. Like you go to, say, Philippines, virtual assistants are paid more than some, professional professions. So there are people that are, like I know someone who's an architect, a qualified architect. She gets paid more as a VA than as an architect in a good architecture firm. There are doctors that are VAs. There are a lawyer, and someone else that's a lawyer. She makes more being a VA than a lawyer. Can you believe? So so people want to do this because it is a well-paid job, even though you're not paying a lot of money. But comparatively, it's a well-paid job. So then, how do you think about things like career progression? So you've got university-trained people working as virtual assistants in various different areas. How do you give them a career path like you would if you're a lawyer or a doctor or an architect or an accountant? And so you've got people for the long term, not just until someone offers them a better role. performance reviews. Oh, and then we run through all of the apps, tools, and software you're going to need to work effectively. So I've talked about some of them here, like Slack and Zoom, and but there's a whole suite of tools that you really need to work effectively. We've got a whole lot of templates in there, like a template library for job ads and interviews and all that sort of thing. What else? Well, I've got heaps of stuff in there. So there's actually 10 modules in that there, and goodness knows how many units. So it's probably about 60 units. So everything you need to know about hiring a VA is in this program. So, and I think it is an absolute must for people to go through this. If you haven't hired a VA, invest the money, go through it, because you'll find that you'll be hiring less, you'll be having a better experience, both you and the VA, and you'll really sort of grow your business a lot more quickly doing it. If I had this when I started, I wouldn't have had a lot of the issues that I had that have gone into creating this program, so that you avoid going through the same mistakes that I've made.
And once you do it properly and you understand all these tips and tricks, you'll find yourself that you won't know what to do without a VA, or what you ever did when you didn't have a VA. How did you achieve everything you achieved? And, how you can achieve just so much more when you get this right. It really is crucial.
Oh, I could not live without my VAs. Like, I hope they're not listening, because they'll want me to double their pay. But they're like an integral part of the business. There are things that they do that I don't even know how to do. So we've got this expertise and knowledge base that's in there, and you can really get into sort of get. But the key to that too is to document things and have good systems and procedures. So lo and behold, if something should happen, then you've got a way for someone else to step into their shoes and sort of take over. But it's a different world. It's like, I thought I was never going to have staff again. I had my finance company. We had 25 people working in that organisation, so it was a reasonable size business. And when I came over here, I thought, that's it, laptop lifestyle, no staff, do it all. But you just can't do it all. You really just can't do it all. And you do need to get help if you're going to grow a business and really sort of serve and support your clients. So I would encourage anyone in business thinking about help, go and get your business ready to hire a virtual assistant, and spend the time and make a commitment to do it. It will change your life. It will change your business.
Absolutely. And you've got a fantastic offer for us today. We'll put some links in the chat there at smashgo.co /L/VA-success-blueprint. There's a coupon for half price there with Media Queen. If you put that into the coupon there, you'll get a half price. So what is the offer you have today there, Nick?
So it is $9.97, this program. So if you use that coupon Media Queen, all one word, when you go to checkout, you will get it for half price, for $4.97. In fact, it's more than half price. So for $4.97. So
amazing.
And I have to say, someone just went through that recently, and she hired a VA, and she's been in the recruiting game as well too. Like, she's been in normal organizations, not online organizations. And she said this is not just for hiring VAs, this is for hiring staff, period. She said, what's in there? She said, if I knew some of this, when I was hiring staff, it would have made my role so much easier, and I wouldn't have made some of those decisions that maybe I should not have made before. So, so like, it'll work for sort of local teams as well as VAs, but it really is focused on, VA hiring and selection and management.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that generous offer, Nick. That is amazing. I'm in the program myself. I love it. I love your work, Nick. You always give so much value, and you're extraordinary with what you do, and that's why you've got such a big following. And of course, there is the Business Owners Smashing It online group tonight.
Oh, yeah.
You've been running that for how many years now, Nick?
That is like, it's over 3 years now. I just haven't looked back through all the episodes, because we've kept most of them. But yeah, it's been a long time. It used to be monthly, and And then it used to be in 2 different venues, so I used to run it twice a month. And then when COVID hit, we just went straight into weekly. And so we've been running it weekly for over a year now. Yeah, no, it's almost a year and a half we've been running it weekly now.
Amazing, amazing. You were doing Brisbane and Gold Coast events, just like I have my Mass Media Tribe event, which I was doing monthly as well, initially in Gold Coast and Brisbane. And then when COVID hit last year, I went fortnightly, and now I've gone back to monthly. Actually, Nick, I've gone the other way. I've gone back to monthly. There is a lot of work involved in putting events on, and I take my hat off to you doing that. You get average about 40 people at least to each event, which is extraordinary and such a great community. And then you do, of course, office hours, which is another fantastic give back as well, that you do on a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
And that's free as well too. So that's just an opportunity for me to get out and have a coffee chat with other like-minded business owners. So yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, fantastic. And you always have great tech tools to share as well. So I have put the link for Business Owners Smashing It Online too in the chat there. And you have a VA guide as well. Can you tell us about this VA guide we've popped in the chat here?
Yeah, so the VA guide, if you want to know what a VA can do for you, if you're at the stage of thinking, I'm not sure whether I need a VA or what could they possibly do, then we've got 101 things a VA can do for you. So there are, and there's actually more that we could have added since, but there are 101 things you could get a VA to, and these are normal things that most businesses do that you probably don't think about, that you just do, or someone does, or maybe it just doesn't get done. So that's free if you want that. The easiest way to grab it is to go to the Business Owners Smashing It Online Facebook group, go and join. And once you join, it's the post at the very top of that page. So you can go and click on it, download it, and it's yours.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. There's so much more that can be shared on this topic, of course. We've just touched the tip of the iceberg here. So if you want to find out more about how to hire VAs and how to grow your business using this amazing tool and working with some phenomenal people and, you know, helping families in whether it's Philippines or India or wherever you're getting your VAs from, you know, you're actually helping support families in places less fortunate often than we are in Australia or America or, you know, some of the first world countries. You might think it's a low amount you're paying them, and actually VAs are, you know, they used to be $2 an hour, now they're sort of average $5 an hour at least, so that, you know, the prices are going up. However, you know, you are really supporting families as well by doing this. As you grow your business, you help to grow others as well and help to inspire others. So I do encourage you to lean in, check this out if you're thinking of getting a VA. Nick is your guide. He has so much valuable information in that program. It really is invaluable. And tonight, of course, come and join us at Business Owners Smashing It Online. I'm speaking at, between 6 to 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'll be speaking in there at some point for about 45 minutes on how to gain free publicity and how to leverage yourself. And I loved your live this morning on that, Nick. You did a really great job, and some of the stories you shared in your Facebook Live this morning about how to get free publicity and some of the crazy things that you've done to be on TV.
It's a bit of fun.
And people you know. And we will be talking about that tonight, sharing some secrets on how you can gain free publicity. Check out the VA program. Any final words, Nick, before we wrap up?
Oh, look, I would say, first of all, I'm looking forward to having you on tonight because I know I'm going to learn some more things there. So if I can do some other stuff to get on media, that's all me as well. And you've worked with me on sort of getting free media as well too, and it's been awesome. And I'm looking forward to other people having that opportunity and learning some of the stuff that I've learned from you as well. The other thing too is, look, business is meant to be fun. It's not meant to take up your whole life. And I've got an expression there, which is, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you. And one of the best ways to do that is to get a good team, and so that you can free up your time and actually have a life, because after all, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you profit and you have more freedom, you can also help others too, right? You can make a difference for your families and for the world around us. So that's brilliant. And I know you've got some great speakers coming up too with Business Owners Smashing It Online next week and the week after. You have Andrew Komenos, right? Next
Komenos, the sales
Tuesday.
guy, he's coming on. Yep, that'll be fun.
Excellent. And his topic will be, I guess, around sales. Do you know the title of that one?
I don't yet, so I'm not the person that's responsible for that. My team deal with all that sort of thing. I just turn up on the night.
So stay tuned to find out the title of next week. And then I know the week after we have Martin Renault coming, and he's sharing a topic that he hasn't spoken about this topic for quite a while, and it's how to monetize live stream videos, which will be a fantastic topic in 2 weeks from now too. So mark that time in your diary, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for Nick's events. I also have some great events coming up this week as well. Apart from tonight, we have the Mass Media Tribe monthly meetup coming up this Thursday at 12 noon. We have a topic called Making Your Story Unforgettable. And I have a speaker from San Diego who's Brenda Edelman, and she teaches people how to do one-person shows in LA. And she is extraordinary. It's going to be an amazing event, 2 hours this Thursday. And then on Friday at 11 a.m., I have a free webinar, a special 90-minute free webinar also on how to gain $1 million worth of free publicity. So to find out all about those, just go to our Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook or follow me in Eventbrite. If you follow Aldwyn Altuney, you'll get all the event updates there as well. And just Google us. You know, people are going to Google us anyway, Nick, aren't they? So just Google us. You'll find us everywhere, and then just connect on social media, and let's do some more amazing work together. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us once again. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and really looking forward to tonight. Thank you for everyone watching this. What did you get out of this? If you have been watching, please pop into the comments. What did you get out of this interview? And if you have any questions for us, pop that in the comments too, and we'll keep track of that as well. All right, have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you in just a few hours at Business Owners Smashing It Online in about 4 hours from now. Gee, that goes quick, doesn't it, Nick?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
About 4 hours from now, we'll be there, so come and join us over there, and also tomorrow at the office hours with Nick as well. All right, we'll see you again soon. Thank you, Nick. Bye.
Catch you later. Thank you.
See you.